PZ30 motorcycle carburetor. Now, you guys have asked for carburetor tuning, how to tune a motorcycle carburetor. And it simply means that you want to increase the power out of your engine through the fuel that is being supplied to your bike. And this is the device that supplies fuel to your bike. So basically by tuning, it means that you design more output, you want more power, you don't care about the fuel consumption, you'll compensate it with the power, and it's fine. So this is PZ30, okay, written clearly there. And from the previous video, we named the parts, and we can go through again. This is the inlet for the fuel. This is where the fuel comes in through the tank, from the tank, into this inlet here. This is where the throttle cable is usually, attached. This is the idling screw, okay? So you turn it in, you increase the idling RPM, you turn it out, and you reduce the idling RPM. Here is the throttle, okay? So it's like the choke. This is more or less like the choke. So this is in a closed position when you want to start the bike on a cold morning, for example. This is the semi-open position, and this is the fully open position. Now this fully open position in a PZ30, it represents the position that is below, okay? When you go one step up, it is in the semi-open position. When you go fully up, it is in the closed position. So obviously you can't ride with a closed position, but it will be suitable to for starting the bike on a cold start. This one is also suitable for starting on a cold start, but this is usually the running position. But you can see, unlike the throttle of a motor vehicle, when the throttle is fully open, when the throttle is fully open, like you can see, there is still no direct communication between the engine, because this is the engine side and this is the air intake side. So there is no direct communication even when the throttle is fully open, because it is blocked by this plunger, okay? So the throttle cable is usually attached to the plunger through this segment here. The cable comes in through this position, it exits from here, and then it goes inside this plunger. Now when you are accelerating, you pulling the cable upwards, and the cable in turn pulls this plunger upwards, and when it pulls it upwards, then you can see there is a direct communication between the air intake. Then it pulls fuel from this reservoir, pulls fuel into the engine, okay? And the fuel is usually pulled through this opening that is, you can see that opening that this needle goes into. You can see that opening that has been left there, okay? And where the needle goes, so that when you are fully accelerating, the needle is completely out and fuel is coming through that port over there directly into the engine, and you are now consuming maximum fuel, okay? Now let us pull this plunger and look at it. You can see the needle is taper shaped, okay? And it has two grooves. There is one groove on this side, and there is another groove, a shorter groove on this other side. So this long groove goes into a recess, goes into a raised position in this barrel. So it's supposed to align with this segment here. So you put the plunger with the long slot in, okay? You put it in and it goes through, and you can see it coming from this side, okay, and there. And one thing that you are going to note is that it does not close the hole fully, because it leaves some space. There is a small space that is left here, and this space is connected to the pilot jet, which is responsible for idling. So we are going to get this ball out so that we look at those jets, because now we want to discuss we want to talk about carburetor tuning. So this is what happens when you're pulling the accelerator. You're opening this main jet, and now fuel is being allowed to go into the engine. When you are accelerating, when you have not pulled the accelerator cable so hard, you're probably into that position, and there is lesser fuel coming through the main jet into the engine. And when the plunger is fully in, there is fuel that is coming only from the pilot jet into the engine for the purposes of idling. So let us get this ball out so that we see these two jets. Okay, now the other component that is of importance to note is that there is this screw here. This screw here is responsible for, when you open or when you screw it out, it actually empties this ball through this port here, so that you're able to empty the fuel from the ball. If you need to empty the fuel from the ball completely, then this is what you use. Okay, so first screw out, second screw out, second screw out, and the third screw, which is also out as well. Okay, so now I described the parts. Okay, this is the float, and the purpose of this float is to cut the fuel from overflowing in this ball. And when it comes to that overflowing position and reaches this particular point here, then it will automatically drain from this section. So there is no way that you are going to get an overflow unless this port here, is blocked with debris. Now, two jets here. Okay, main jet, pilot jet. Pilot jet responsible for idling. Where does it connect? It connects through this small hole here. There is a small opening. I don't know whether you can see it clearly, but there are two openings here. There is a small opening here that is connected to the pilot jet, which is responsible for idling. So if you want to increase the idling speed, you will come here and increase the idling speed by screwing this one out. Okay, however, this is the main jet, and the main jet, it draws fuel from this opening here, this opening inside here, that is usually, partially or partly blocked by this plunger, or fully open by this plunger, which is now responsible for accelerating. Now you want to tune your carburetor, just change this jet. Okay, this is the main jet, and this is the jet that is responsible for accelerating and for power. When you need more power, you just change this jet. Okay, that is number one. When you need to increase the idling, come and adjust this jet. Okay, when you want to increase the air to fuel ratio, you want to make, the air fuel ratio, you want it to have more fuel than air, or you want more air than fuel, or you want the stoichiometric ratio, which is the accepted or the standard ratio, then use this jet. When you screw it out, it opens this small hole that is here. You can see it, this small hole that is here, and now it allows more fuel to go into the engine than air. So you screw it out, you increase the fuel ratio. You screw it in and you close it completely, then you are reducing the fuel in the mixture. Okay, so you screw it out, you make the mixture rich, and you'll have more power. You screw it in, you make the mixture lean, and you'll have less power, and you'll have actually difficulty in starting the bike, especially from a closed position. Okay, how do you get these jets out? Very simple. These jets are just screwed out. Okay, let me find the suitable spanner. This is the smallest. This is size number 7. Okay, so you just screw this jet out like that. You can see it has an opening. It has an opening there. This is the opening that lets the fuel into the engine when accelerating. So you can get a jet that has a bigger opening and is going to allow for more fuel, and therefore you get more power. And it also has these small holes on the side. Okay, so when you get a bigger jet, usually these jets are numbered. Okay, this one is not, but they usually have a number here. And you know, you can get jets that are bigger online simply by just, you know, looking for them. Okay, and then you can also change this jet, although it does not play a major role. It does not play a major role in terms of acceleration, but rather it plays a role in terms of idling and in terms of the air to fuel mixture. So you can see this one here. Okay, let me just position so that you're able to see the hole. The opening on this jet, you know, you can see it. It is smaller than in the first jet because this one is usually responsible for idling. So you don't need much fuel when you are doing idling. Okay, so three ways to tune your carburetor. Number one, change this jet to a larger size. Number two, adjust your air fuel mixture ratio. Number three, adjust the idling speed, okay, so that you are able to get a higher idling, what is it called, higher idling RPM. There is also a fourth one that is, you know, to do with this pin. Okay, when this pin gets inside this jet, when this pin gets inside this jet, it can close this jet completely, but it will only allow for fuel to get into the engine for purposes of idling. So the more you get this needle out, the more you are increasing the amount of fuel that is going to the engine. Okay, so by getting a bigger jet, you are actually going to get more power. But there is also another method of adjusting this needle to go upper. When it goes higher, it means that it's going to open further. When it goes lower, then it means that it's going to open less and you are going to have less fuel. So simply by adjusting the position of this needle either upwards or downwards, then you'll also be tuning the carburetor to allow for more power. Okay, and how is it done? Very simple. Let us remove this, you know, this retaining pin, and then look at what is inside. Okay, the retaining pin is out, and here we go. This is the pin with provisions for adjustment. Okay, you can see from this one, it is in the first, second position from up, but you can adjust to the third, fourth, fifth position. When this wing, you know, when this retaining wing is in the fourth position, then the needle will be higher up, and therefore you will have more power, but you'll also have your bike consuming more fuel. When it is at the middle level, then you are balancing between power and economy. When it is at the highest level, then you are going to get you know, good consumption but less power. Okay, so you can see the rings that are, you know, responsible for the adjustment. So when this pin gets inside this plunger, it is locked by that pin. Okay, you can see. So you adjust the pin downwards, the pin moves upwards, and you have more power and more consumption. You adjust the pin upwards, the pin drops downwards, and you have less power and less fuel consumption. So those are the options that you have for adjusting a PZ30 carburetor. Thank you.